Welcome to another episode of Women in Family Business. We are WIFB, the global initiative for women to share their stories and expertise on matters related to the family enterprise.
What if the future of your family business depended not just on tradition, but on the courage to challenge it? For Riham Fathy Ellaw, Executive Board Member and Business Development Director at the Nassar Group in Egypt, this question isn't hypothetical, but it's a daily reality. As the first woman in her family to enter a male-dominated steel industry, Riham has spent over a decade driving digital transformation and governance reforms in a business built on legacy. But change doesn't come easy. From convincing founders that transparency isn't a threat to proving that women belong in the boardroom, she's redefining what it means to lead in a traditional family enterprise. In this episode, we explore the raw, unfiltered journey of modernizing a family business, the resistance, the emotional battles, and the bold strategies that turn skepticism into progress. Enjoy this episode with Riham.
So, Riham, we're going to be talking about really interesting topics today, topics that really excite me because I think they're foremost on the mind of any leader today who's trying to ready their business for the future. And the two topics that we're going to tackle today are digital transformation and governance. What kind of conversations did you initially have with people in the Nassar Group? What was that like? What was the reception? Did you face a lot of resistance? And if so, what kind?
Actually, we didn't realize that we need digital transformation in a specific point. I actually the only one who realized that we have this problem, okay? Because in family businesses, always the founders believe that it's better that they are involved 100% in the business, and it's better that they know every single details. So as long as they know the details, okay, they believe that everything is just good and working good. Okay, but the problem is for me, after been working in the business for 8 years, now I have been in the business for 11 years. Okay, I knew that we have a problem. There is a problem because most of the decisions actually with the founders, no one has authority, there's no delegation, and everyone believes that this is the best way to work, but no one is looking at the future. So when I started discussing the idea of digital transformation, the first resistance actually didn't come from the employees, it came from the founders and the owner. Okay, because they believed that digital transformation will lead to transparency, and they believe that being transparent in such business, especially traditional business, because Nassar Group, it is in the steel industry. So they believe that digital transformation will not work in such traditional business. And it is a very, very competitive business. So if everything is transparent, it will be a problem. So when I started the ERP system, and this was very, very challenging, that many people told me before you get an ERP system, I had a meeting with a lot of mentors and consultants and all of that. They told me that before you get a system, you need to build the business first. You need to work on organization restructuring. You need to work on the change management before you get the ERP system. You need to have the perfect workflow. You need to have all the system working in its best way, then get the ERP system. I tried that for a year. Okay, I tried. I said, okay, let's try. Okay, so I tried with all the departments. Let's build first the department as the book says. Okay, the manual.
So the manual, you were working on the first with the manual process as you were trying to
So
create.
I found also
okay,
resistance
yeah.
in this. Okay, people say, no, this is how it works. This is how we always work. You just want to make steps to delay the business. For example, at the very, very beginning, it was very, very silly that actually the imports and the exports manager is the one who's dealing with the banks and not the finance department. He is the one who's dealing with the banks. He is the one who can see all our accounts. He's the one who's doing everything because this is the best way and the fastest way. Of course, this is the fastest way. You're the one who is actually doing the purchasing process. So of course it's easier for you that you are the one who's controlling the money. Of course. So it took a lot of time to just separate this work. Okay, you are not the one who's doing this work. You should say that you want to purchase this item. Okay, so the finance department is the one who's going to work and take the process. And there was a huge resistance in that. You're just delaying the process. We need everything as soon as possible. This is also a huge problem in traditional industries that everything is so urgent. Everything is so urgent. So it's so hard to build a workflow. So I reach a point that, okay, this road will be a failure. So I have to get a system. I have to work on digital transformation and get an ERP system to force people to work within the right workflow. So here is the system. Okay, it says that to purchase anything, you have to go through this and this and this and that and that and that, and the authority must be that and that and that and that. So they were forced to work this way. So this is how it worked for us. This is how it worked to force people.
Asking so many changes at the same time must have been hugely demanding on both the family and the employees. So, how did you navigate that on a cultural and a communications level? What kind of conversations did you encourage to make sure that as many people stayed on board as possible and as many people you could take along as many people as possible on this journey?
The main problems that I faced and the main conversations that I have been taking with the board is that there are people in the business who are not qualified enough for the next step. This was the main problem. And this what led to change management. So for me to solve this problem, as I told you, I got the ERP system. I paid all of it in advance. Okay, so I'm just like forcing the founders that, okay, we paid everything. So either it will work or will not work. I believe that this person is not qualified enough. So what shall we do? So it was, for me, it was like a weapon. Okay, each time I find a struggle, I tell, okay, we paid all the money. You want to throw it?
Yeah.
You want to throw it, or let's try to deal with it. So we reached a point, okay, keep this person as he is because this board member trusts him. And let's get a new CFO. And this one will be a chief accountant. Okay, so we didn't move him from his place, and you got the CFO you want, and let's do it. So this is how it works with me. I started building like a new executive boards of people who are qualified enough to help me through this system because I know that the current ones will not be able to. They are very, very good in operation. They are very, very good in the daily work, but they are not good in development.
It's interesting how the tech still depends on the human capital factor, doesn't it? It's funny how, like, we can have all the technology in the world when the human element is not right in the
Exactly. I always
organization,
say
we still
rubbish in,
can't
rubbish
make
out.
it work. So it's always
Yeah,
interesting
it's
to see
rubbish in,
that
rubbish out.
reality.
Exactly. So you need to have qualified people to be able to put the data correctly and to be able to help you because we have a lot of data. Anywhere you will see a lot of numbers that you just don't understand. So you need the right people to put the data in its right place to be able to analyze it correctly.
For you, the governance conversation and the thinking about governance, when did that start becoming a focus area for you as well? And how did it come in connection with the digital transformation?
There are so yeah, to governance for me, yeah, yeah, I believe like the governance for the company itself. Okay, so to reach the strategy of the company and the family governance. So I was doing both. So for me, at the beginning, the governance for the company itself, I found a huge struggle, and I found that it's really, really needed because when I was implementing the ERP system, you suddenly find like who's the one who will be responsible for confirming this, or who's the one who has the authority to confirm this. You suddenly find you don't know. You just don't know who. So if I suddenly discovered, okay, there is a problem with the whole organization, there is a problem with the whole management and the whole authority structure. So taking the idea of the whole company governance, it came from this problem. Okay, and that's when the founders actually, when I just asked the question, who will do this? They keeps telling me, okay, maybe this guy or maybe this guy. So no, there is no maybe. Okay, sometimes they tell me, okay, this guy will do this and that. I said, no, I cannot do that. You're like, okay, let's make like the finance manager. Okay, let's make the finance manager at the same time the purchasing manager. How come? How I'm gonna do it? Okay, so we need to get a purchasing manager in this area. So they have to accept it. So the governance for the company came from this way. However, the governance for the family, it was a very, very different struggle because you reach the idea when you tell your father or your uncle, what are we going to do next? And this was a huge problem because suddenly you're telling your father, what I'm going to do after, long life to him after you die, what I'm going to do. So it was a huge fight with them. Are you thinking about what are we going to do after we die? I'm just telling you, if me and my cousin are going to have a fight, who will have the last call? Who will? Who will be the next chairman? Who will be the next board member? Who will be the next? So they keep saying, don't ask these questions. It will come along. I don't believe that. Businesses are not with love. That's very normal. That's very well known. And when you accept that we are going to have difficult conversations on the table, when you are actually working for sustainability for the business.
I think by now, anyone listening to this podcast will have one big question for you, Riham. Why you? Why have you volunteered, I think, for this role? I think anyone listening to it so far would be like, we really want to know what
Because I'm
motivates.
the eldest sister, actually. So, and I'm like my father's favorite daughter. Okay, I love him so much. I saw how he built this business from scratch. I remember a lot of details. Okay, so it was very, very important for me that this business should and must continue. But the problem that my father and my uncle, my father, he has all, most of us are girls. My siblings were six girls and two boys. Okay, and the boys are the youngest. And the other side, they're all men and three girls at the end. So it's like male and female, male and female. So for me,
Inverse.
to get the power from my father and to get his support to enter such a business, who is totally male saturated business, I was the first woman to enter. I was the first female to enter the whole industry. Okay, I wasn't accepted easily. So for me, it was very, very important that this legacy must continue, especially that through my time at working, I have found a lot of businesses that actually separates from easily a small fight between two brothers. And you suddenly, like, I'm in the car, okay, you find the name of the company. The second day, it's separated, two separate names.
How have you sort of like networked yourself in the environment? Like, do you talk to peers as well from other family businesses? And what is the influence of being a business that operates in Egypt? What is the influence of that context on what it is that you're trying to do, both for the digital transformation and the governance
I reached a lot of
conversation?
family members in other family businesses to understand what actually they are doing. And the trick with Egypt that now most of the businesses are actually either in the second generation or in the third generation. Okay, most of the family businesses in Egypt are like that. So most people at the same time are struggling with the same issue. So the big family businesses, they understand this problem and they started building the family governance. Okay, and others they didn't, and they are very, very in the very, very late process. So I have examples and I showed them examples. Okay, suddenly like they know a lot of names. So when I say, where is this company now? They said, we don't know. I think something happened to them. I said, no, 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 I know the history. I know what happened to them. They actually closed because of fight between brothers. Actually, this has really happened. And they're like, really? I said, yeah, I can get for you
Yeah.
I can show you sources why actually they reached this point. So let's take love out of the conversation. Let's take love out of the table. Okay. And let's talk about business. Do you want this business to continue? Do you want this legacy to continue? So it's either continue or not. And for me, it was very, very important for me to continue because I felt that the road that they believe that the business will continue was to get the females out of the picture. I felt that they believe that. Okay, so for me, this was very important, no, to show them no women or female can be in the picture and we still can continue. So, they feel like, okay, we are getting like, it's like After everyone will enter the business of the second generation, will be 10, 10 in the second generation. And the business is very, very, very huge. So each one will have a role. It's no problem with that. But if something happens, or if a problem happens, let's take all out the females to make a separate business with the females. So the number of the fights will be less. So they will be able to continue. So I wanted to show them, no, that the problem is not with the females. The problem is everywhere. It's normal.
So, what kind of qualities do you look for now in terms of like leadership and leaders in your company, but also in your family, where you think, like, okay, with this kind of thinking, we're going to make it, another 20 years, another 30 years?
This is a very, very hard question. This is a very, very hard business. Okay. And it's large. Okay. And the problem now that you just know what you know within the walls of the factory. So I believe that the one who should lead a family business, he must have like an open view, and he must have an experience outside of the borders of the factory. It's needed, because as long as you are within the four walls, you believe that you are the best. And this is a huge problem. Like, no, you need to see outside of the box to see that you have a lot of problems. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
A leader needs to take himself out of the daily operation. And this is a huge struggle with the founders and the second generation. Because as long as you tell the founder, I shouldn't be in the daily operation, you just say, okay, you just don't want to work. You just want to go have your vacation. It's like, I shouldn't know every single step of the day. If I'm stuck in every single step of the day, no one will be able to develop anything. You will not have a leader. You are actually building new employees. Instead of building leaders, you are building employees.
What did you think you were going to do when you grew up? Did you think you were going to do this, or did you have something else in mind for yourself?
I didn't know that it will be that hard, but I always have the idea that I will work with my father, because I totally love him. And in our culture, it's always the boy is the one who's gonna lead the family business. So I knew that he needs a boy. He needs him. That's okay. But you need him doesn't mean that your girls are not qualified enough. So he was very, very keen to give us the best education, to let us learn new languages, German and all of that, because he's dealing with these countries. He was very, very keen to build strong daughters. And he was always saying that you are gonna work in the factory. You are gonna work in the factory with me. Even though we never went to the factory. We never went to the factory when we were young. And my cousins were going every summer for a training there. And we were not. So you don't know actually what does this factory look like. Okay. So for me, I didn't know it will be that hard. And I actually wanted to be an artist. But when I was like 14 years old, my first brother came. Okay. And at the same time, my dad got very, very sick. He got cancer and he was very, very sick. But thanks God, he's good now. And at this point, this was a turning point for me. I am the eldest sister. If anything happened, I'm the one who's responsible for all of that suddenly. And my brother is very, very, very young. And I have a lot of sisters. So it was a huge responsibility for me suddenly. It was like a shock, wake up. Okay, so I knew that this is my road and I have to take it. Okay, and I have to be the first daughter and the first woman in such business.
Do you have a very specific vision in your mind of like, okay, this is what it should look like in, 10, 20 years, but also this is what you would like to do inside the business or with the business in the future? And as a second generation, do you have kind of a vision of this now after you've accumulated all this information and all this knowledge and also of
The
the
vision that I
industry?
have, that I'm very, very sure it will be impossible for the second generation to lead the business together. It needs, instead of family business, to be a corporate business. And we need to separate ownership from leadership. It's a must. Because I'm talking about 10 will be executive board members. So it's impossible. At the end, someone will have the last word. and we all have to accept that. Either me or my elder cousin, either anyone, the one who is more qualified. But I believe that others will not accept it. Other will not accept that I also should have the last word because I'm also the owner. So I believe no, we should reach governance at its highest level. There must be external board members, there must be external executives, there must be external CEOs. Everything needs to be external, and the second generation needs to work just as board members. They shouldn't be involved in the daily operation, because the daily operation and the small problems in the day is what actually make us reach a lot of problems and a lot of disagreements and a lot of fights. You have no idea how stupid the fights are every day. They are very, very stupid. So no, we are family members, we are owners, we shouldn't be involved in such stupid daily operation, because at the end, if we are actually dealing with these problems, we are gonna split up. We will split up.
What do you think it's going to take to get to this vision? Like, are you thinking concrete strategies right now? Or are you having conversations? Like, what is it going to take to get to that point?
They still don't accept the idea that there might be an external board member who will have a voice. They still don't believe that, because at the same problem, as I always say, everyone believes that he understands the business the best. I know the business better than anyone else. I know the business better than any consultant. But I believe that these consultants are actually so a lot of other companies, so they know your problem. They don't need to know your product, but they know your problem. So we actually started talking about these ideas, and I believe that sooner or later they have to accept it, because sooner or later we are not going to reach an agreement. So we will need external people to help us.